Beverly Hills in the late 1980s. Wealth, luxury, and polished perfection. Palm trees lined the streets. Red carpets rolled out for the stars. And behind the gates of grand mansions, the American dream glittered brighter than ever. But inside one of those homes, the dream was about to shatter. The Menendez family seemed flawless. José Menendez, a Cuban immigrant turned Hollywood executive. His wife Kitty, a former beauty queen struggling to uphold appearances. And their sons, Lyle and Erik, handsome, privileged, and carefree. To the world, they had everything. But behind closed doors, appearances can be deceiving. On August 20th, 1989, that deception erupted in violence. As José and Kitty relaxed in their den, their sons crept forward, armed with shotguns they bought days earlier. At 11:47 p.m., the first blast rang out. José was killed instantly. Kitty's scream echoed through the mansion as she tried to run, but Erik and Lyle pursued, firing again and again until she fell. In seconds, the family's elegant home was transformed into a blood-soaked crime scene. The so-called perfect life reduced to silence, smoke, and ruin. Minutes after the murders, a frantic 911 call came in. Lyle Menendez's voice shook with panic. "Someone killed my parents." To police, it sounded like the cry of a grieving son. When officers arrived, they found carnage. José slumped dead, Kitty riddled with bullets, and two young men in shock. At first, suspicion didn't fall on Lyle and Erik. Detectives looked elsewhere. José was ruthless in business, a Hollywood executive with plenty of enemies. Could this have been a mafia hit? A revenge killing? But soon, cracks appeared. Instead of retreating in grief, the brothers embraced extravagance. Lyle bought a Rolex and a Porsche. Erik pursued a tennis career, hiring private coaches. Together, they spent nearly $700,000 in just months. Lavish vacations, designer clothes, fine dining. At their parents' funeral, relatives noticed something chilling. The boys showed little grief, no tears, no despair. One guest would later say, it was as if they had already moved on. And with every purchase, every strange smile, suspicion began to turn back toward the brothers. Detectives' unease grew. At first, the mafia theory held weight, but Lyle and Erik's behavior was impossible to ignore. Instead of grief, there were shopping sprees, tennis tournaments, Rolexes, Porsches, and vacations. The freedom their parents' deaths had created looked less like tragedy and more like opportunity. Suspicion turned inward. Could the victims' sons be their killers? If your parents were murdered, could you spend the next day buying a Rolex? The question whispered through the investigation. And the deeper police looked, the stranger the brothers appeared. But months passed with no hard evidence, until psychology cracked the case. Erik, guilt-ridden, sought help from Beverly Hills therapist Dr. Jerome Oziel. Behind closed doors, Erik broke down. Through tears, he confessed. He and Lyle had killed their parents. Oziel recorded the chilling sessions, but the secret might have stayed hidden until his mistress, disturbed and fearful, went to police. She revealed the tapes, handing detectives the breakthrough they had been waiting for. The tapes were the smoking gun detectives needed. Not fingerprints, but words straight from the killers' mouths. In March 1990, Lyle and Erik Menendez were arrested, dragged from privilege into handcuffs. The sight of Beverly Hills heirs led away by police shocked the nation. Headlines screamed, "Rich kids kill for greed." Cameras swarmed courthouses, tabloids feasted, and America was hooked. But the question lingered. Why? That answer came in the courtroom. In 1993, the brothers' first trial began, broadcast nationwide on court TV. The defense didn't deny the murders. They admitted them. Their claim was survival. For the first time, the world heard allegations of life behind the Menendez mansion's walls. The brothers testified that José was not a loving father, but a tyrant who sexually abused Erik for years. Lyle backed his brother's claims, and both accused their mother, Kitty, of ignoring the abuse. The image of spoiled killers cracked as the defense painted them instead as broken sons trapped in fear. Erik wept openly on the stand, recounting trauma that left jurors divided. Was this truth or a desperate attempt to justify murder? The courtroom became a spectacle, and America couldn't look away. The prosecution told a very different story. This wasn't survival, it was greed. They pointed to the Rolexes, the cars, the shopping sprees, arguing the brothers killed to secure their share of a $14 million fortune. The first trial ended in a hung jury. America divided between sympathy and outrage. By 1995, at the second trial, the judge ruled most abused testimony inadmissible. Stripped of their emotional defense, the brothers were convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life without parole. Cameras captured the moment their futures ended, the clang of prison bars replacing the glare of the courtroom lights. In the 1990s, the Menendez brothers were seen as spoiled killers. But as decades passed, public opinion shifted. In a culture increasingly aware of abuse and trauma, many began to revisit their claims. Documentaries, podcasts, and social media reignited debate. Were they ruthless murderers or victims silenced for too long? Even behind bars, their story didn't fade. After years in separate prisons, Lyle and Erik were reunited in 2018, where they remain today. To some, their symbols agreed. To others, survivors of a nightmare no one believed. The Menendez case became one of the first true crime spectacles, broadcast daily, turning trials into entertainment. It blurred the line between justice and drama, paving the way for the true crime obsession that dominates today. More than 3 decades later, the case still haunts us. It shattered America's image of the perfect family, reminding us that danger can come not from strangers, but from within our own homes. Were the Menendez brothers monsters, or broken sons pushed beyond their limit? And yet, theirs is not the only story where privilege turned deadly. Next time, we'll explore another chilling betrayal behind mansion walls. If this case challenged your perspective, hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Do you believe justice was truly served,